Howdy, folks. We're back. I think we're back. I think we're working. Alrighty. So, I'm going to have to remember to lean forward while we're doing this. Okay. So, let's start with the usual process. Jamie, hellos and intros, please.
Well, that's me. Hi, I'm Jamie Collette. I'm a voice actor, and you can find me on Twitter at Muffin Manifesto or on my website, jamie-collette.com.
Mm-hmm.
Am I really loud, Chantal? You look concerned. Okay.
Pull your gain down, please.
I have my gain down. Let me check if I can swap my microphone. Aha. I may have been having the same problem as Drew. How's that?
That is so much better, thank you.
All right.
And you guys can hear me in the call as well?
Yep.
Amazing. I forgot what I was saying.
You're introducing your wonderful self and explaining all of your fantastic abilities and cool things that you do other than be a gamer.
Yes, cool. I'm at Muffin Manifesto on Twitter. You can find me on jamie-collette.com. Today I'm playing Spider, who is amazing and has a great accent, and I'll hear nothing said against him.
Right then. Chantal, hellos and good mornings, or time zone appropriate greetings.
Hello and good morning. Yeah, I'm playing 3 games today, so who I am and where I am is like something that's going to fluctuate real quick.
All right, Sam.
Apparently didn't want to unmute me. I'm Sam, hello. I'm only playing the one game, so I have no excuse for when I start being confused about who I am. But in general, I'm a voice actor and performer as well, and can be found on Twitter. And I don't have many other things, I guess. A few things I've sort of done and sort of looking for the next thing to move on, other than the other show I do on this channel, I guess, Paddington Prowler on Mondays.
Very good. And Drew.
Hey. Hi, I'm Drew. I'm an actor, and this is the only stream that I do, and I'm very excited, playing Lucas Edgewater, the better of the Edgewater brothers. And what else? You can find me on Twitter at Drew Wilson. And what else can I tell you? We were talking earlier about the effects of caffeine on the body and the different ways that you can absorb it, including through your scalp. I did not know that.
Congratulations,
apparently there is
you've
caffeine.
learned
I've learned something today.
Caffeine
and
shampoo.
Caffeine shampoo. I didn't even know, A, that caffeine shampoo was a thing, and B, that caffeine can be absorbed through your skin, through your scalp. So I knew it could be absorbed through your skin, but I never really connected that it would be through your scalp. that
Traditionally, scalps are made of skin. Yeah, that's the way that works.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of I just it's one of those things where I'm like, when have I ever put caffeine on my scalp? So that's a new thing for Drew.
Okay, fantastic. My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the stream GM for this fine crew of folks. And we're here with due respite to talk about a group of folks wandering around a place called Lanogiianes. So, Spider, it's been a little while since we've done this. Why doesn't Spider give a quick recap of events as he recalls them, which leads us up to the point where you guys have defeated a bunch of pirates?
Well, mate, we hopped on board a ship headed further inland to Glitter Delta Cove. I found us a lovely seafaring vessel, the name of which I cannot recall at this particular moment. And along the way, we was ambushed by some not so clever fellas purporting to be pirates. Unfortunately, they weren't expecting me to be able to fire 4 arrows at once and take out, most of their most important crew members all in one shot, and then single-handedly take over their ship. But then, of course, you wouldn't expect me to do that because I fell off somehow. It was a mystery.
Yeah, awkward. Alexandre, what's Alexandre's take on the chain of events which have led you to the moment where apparently you are now in charge of a pirate ship?
I was sleeping. Why am I awake now? Can I go back to bed now, please? End comments.
And that's all she's got. Gotcha. Chevalier, feeling a little bit more verbose than perhaps your ward.
Mr. Kilcare, I think you will find that our ship is the errant departure.
No, mate, we left like 2 days ago.
Anyway, we were making our way to on our journey in this vessel procured by Mr. Kilcare. On the way, we were attacked by pirates. Despite their numbers, they were unskilled, and we were able to hold them off. Does not bode well, though. Getting attacked when we know that we are being hunted. Or at least some of us are being hunted. Still.
All right. Lucas, thoughts?
Yes.
Commentary?
Well, we were attacked by pirates. Yes, everyone said that. I almost died. What else? I was healed by magical music spells. And then Jasper went over the edge of the boat and made a fool of himself after proving that he was quite skilled, actually, at shooting a bow. Managed to get one shot in. That was great. But no, this is great. I've been wanting to fight for a while. Nice little rough and tumble. But yes, it's about time that we ended this.
Okay. So in point of fact, we are just going to, quote, skip to the end. So I did the math. Essentially, the pirates, at the point that both of their major leaders are out and staying down, the short version is that mathematically they can't beat you, so it'd just be a matter of rolling dice until the until either a random fluke on one side or another ended it more swiftly. So that doesn't sound very fun. So unless you guys are completely against it, I think we'll just literally fast forward to the end bit. There is a small problem, which you have to assort with. So the sailors took a couple of injuries, and even with Alexandre's healing magic to get everybody back on their feet, the crew of the errant departure total a number, I believe, of 7. That includes their captain. 8, sorry. 8. It's 7 sailors plus their captain. Now, since none of you are sailors, that would mean the only way to take the other ship as prize and bring its crew to port would be to post half the sailors on the other ship, and that would still not be enough to run the other ship. It's twice the size of the errant departure. So
The real problem as I see it. What's the captain's name?
Hang on a sec. Actually, have that.
I think I've got it.
Yep, it's
Ooh.
one of the NPCs.
Soreness.
Honest?
Soreness.
Yes.
My mute key is playing up.
Yes, the captain of the errant departure is Sornus. Sornus Cedrinley. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the way I see it, Captain Sonos, is you can't take the errant departure with you anyway with no mast. So it looks like you got a new ship.
So
Could we take the ship's mast?
well,
and
actually,
just-
the funny thing is that this is getting demasted, for lack of a better way of putting it, is just one of those irritating things that sailors put up with, and most of it, and they actually, rigging repair masts and things like that is literally, it's a pain in the backside to do, but it's actually something that almost every sailing vessel that ever gets into a fight has to learn how to do. So they can make repairs. That's something the Sornus will tell you. It's going to basically add a day's delay, drifting. Drifting. If they get in too close to shore, they can drop an anchor. But where they're at right now, they're just far enough. The water's too deep to anchor. So it'll add about a day's delay on the trip. But the problem fundamentally winds up is what to do with the pirates. If you just toss them back on, even if if you switch ships and cut the cat, even if you were to do that. The other vessel is, as I say, twice the size of this one, and while half its crew are essentially Marines as opposed to sailors, dedicated boarding party, if you will, you still need twice as many crew as the errant departure has to run that vessel to be able to sail it to port. And if you intend to bring the pirates with you. Either to collect, whatever money's on their heads, or to see them to justice, or to sell their ship, or whatever, well, then we have to come up with how it is we're going to keep guard on that many pirates and tow one ship or the other with not nearly enough crew to run run both ships. So, the unfortunate problem that Captain Sornus can see is that it looks bluntly like unless you lot are happy to put she and her crew are not willing to do this, is put the bunch of them into the axe. Basically, it's throw them back on their ship, or basically either switch ships and let them fix this one up, and you all learn how to be sailors in a hurry. Because that's the only way to come up with enough crew to actually get the larger ship into port. Or it's throw them all back on their ship, intentionally crack a couple of things on their ship, so they're going to be too busy making repairs to give chase, and then let whatever fate and tide dictate happen to them, or just put them back on their ship and say, "Don't be so stupid as to do this again." But blunt, while she'd like to be slightly more delicate about it, you four won that fight. She and her crew wouldn't have lasted 2 minutes against that lot. So at the end of the day, it's what do you four want to do with that bunch of pirates? She's a little, like I say, neither she nor her crew are terribly keen on just outright massacring the bunch of them. But on the other hand, well, the errant departure can't tow the other ship. It's too big. And the other ship is too big for the crew of the errant departure to run it.
Let's send back on their ship.
So I'm going to say that what we're actually going to be happening is you guys are all sitting at a dinner table on the errant departure. Keep in mind this happened before breakfast. So there's going to be fresh breakfast plates in front of you. The pirates are currently all trussed up on their ship with a couple of their, basically sitting down with admonition that if any of them try and get up and do anything stupid, one of the sailors will yell for Chevalier. That seems to actually be instilling a
And
certain level of
Lucas.
quiet.
Excuse me.
I've got a bell. If I ring this cowbell really, really loud, the big metal thing is going to come back and whomp you all, and you don't want that. So I'm just going to
To
stand
be
here.
fair,
and you're
big
going-
metal thing does cover both Chevalier and Lucas. So.
And I'm just going to stand here and stare at you all, and you're going to hope you don't frighten me, okay? And I'm already half frightened because you're pirates and I'm not.
I hope we didn't leave the most timid of the sailors with them.
Oh, absolutely, because he's the one who's most likely to ring the bell at the first hint of provocation. So the sailors, the pirates, on the other hand, have all got variations of the theme of cracked ribs and cracked skulls, and so aren't particularly interested in revisiting that issue. So they've all been trussed up. They're sitting sort of, under. They're all sitting on in circles on the deck of their ship. You all are now having breakfast, and let's find out what it is you plan on doing.
Look, I have a fairly sustainable option, but my companions here tend to prefer to use my choices as a last resort. So,
We're not killing them, Jasper.
no. Well,
Not
I mean,
food.
we don't need to kill anybody if they agree to work.
There was an if there.
Well, look, we don't need to kill the others either, but there's no point taking them with us.
But we don't have to kill them.
No, just chuck them overboard.
That's the same thing.
That will kill them.
All right, well, tie them up, put them in the hold, and don't feed them.
And we're back to killing?
It's only
Starving
a
will
few
kill
more
them.
days.
Have you ever been in a hold before?
On a ship?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you lying?
Are you asking me as a player or as a character?
As a character.
No, I'm not lying, Lucas.
Oh, okay then. Well, then you'd know.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but then I wouldn't recommend piracy either. You know, they would have killed us, right?
I know, but we're legends.
All right.
The fact that they would have killed us is not a good reason to kill them. That just makes us as bad as they are. Ultimately,
Self-defense, isn't it?
no. Well, what we have done
Not
now
now.
is self-defense. Killing them from this point would be different. And it does not solve the problem that we cannot do anything with their ship. There is no benefit.
Well, they're probably worth more alive anyway. I mean, I don't understand this not being able to do anything with their ship. I'll just tell them if they want to live, they have to work, and if they can't work, then we chuck them in the hold.
I mean, we hurt some of their crew, no? So if we hurt them, they don't have enough crew to run their ship.
No, I mean, we have half the crew required to run the ship. They'll provide the other half on
I'm not
pain
sure
of...
they are in the condition to help us like that. I'm not sure they are in a condition to do much of anything.
How about we give them a stern warning not to attack us again, and we just let them go?
This is the worst of the options. I mean, we could at least take them prisoner and fetch a bounty for them and Glitter Delta Cove.
Well, maybe the captain we can take.
The captain's very dead.
Or at least,
Sorry, what?
is there a bounty for just presenting a head or something?
Alexandre looks down at her plate of food and pushes it away.
There is also the little bitty detail that the GM will remind you is that if you intend to do something like turn in, a pirate to collect a bounty, then there would be paperwork that would have to be signed and a government official who would have to see you. As a reminder to all of the people who might be trying to remain anonymous. I wouldn't know who those people might be, but if there were people like that in the party, that would be a consideration.
I don't think the Tarantino tumblers would ever need to be anonymous, Michelle.
We can bring them back anytime we need.
No, we cannot. No, we cannot.
Lucas makes a good point. That's a terrible idea. Now, I'm not suggesting that we just let them go with a word of warning. We can certainly leave them in a state where they cannot as easily attack others. Dismantling that siege equipment, for one, crippling their ship so they cannot chase us, taking any choice items they might have. But I'm not sure we have the personnel to do much more.
Captain Saunders turned them in for a bounty.
Was there space on this
These
ship
are
for like
professional
prisoners?
criminals. I've dealt with this sort before. I don't understand why you'd put them back on the water.
Maybe we can ask them where they stole all their stuff, and we can return it to the people they stole it from.
So the short version is that the errant departure would have space for maybe 5 more people. If you were going to if you weren't too concerned about humane conditions, you could probably get about 10 of them on board. And then you'd basically be spending the next day or two standing guard, because then you'd have more pirates on board than crew. So someone would have to keep an eye on the whole time. If you were more, there is guest bunks, if you will, for 5 more. So if you wanted to take the the pirate captain and the lieutenant for justice. By the way, nobody's dead. Everyone's just
That's my bad. I forgot.
they
don't bleed out in this game.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's actually a difference between Open Legend and other systems, is that implicitly you actually have to go out of your way to kill someone in this game. If you don't explicitly do it, implicitly it doesn't happen. And so the idea would be is that so you could bring them, load a bunch of the baddies up in the spare cabin, because you folks have taken most of the spare cabins, is the point. And then have the good captain bring them in for, and officially have her turn them in. I suspect there would there'd have to be a discussion about, so how did you 5 or 8 manage to, apprehend them? Oh, it was a really good fight. Don't ask too many questions. But I'm sure there's some there's some wink nod that could go on.
I mean, people
there.
could see how big Chevalier is. Like, you just...
Well, yes, but no, the point is if the ship's captain saying, oh, we did it, not this bunch of adventurers that you don't see trying to slink off the ship.
Again, disguise is not a problem.
Yeah, no.
Yes, it is.
Look, I don't understand why we would ever sacrifice an asset the size of that ship. But if you don't want to do it, then we should scuttle the thing and take as many prisoners as we can.
Spider, why do you want a ship?
Do you know how much a ship is worth, Alexandre? We can sell it.
Cool ship.
But what are you going to... How are you going to carry around that much money? What are you going to do with it?
I'm sure there's a bank in Glitter Delta Cove. It's not
Yeah,
whatever
take it to
the
a ship
point
bank.
day that we just left.
The business manager of the Tarantino Tumblers has a large deposit to make. Would like to open an account.
Regardless, it doesn't have to be us anyway. I mean, I don't see why we shouldn't be helping out people who helped us out, like the fine captain here.
I don't know. I don't think we are in a position to get their ship back, but we could potentially take hostages, as you say, turn them into the authorities.
I just think
What
putting
if-
pirates
what if
back
we,
out on the water with a working ship is a terrible idea.
What if we...
How many
offer-
pirates were there in total?
20 something.
So there are 20 of the general crew. There's the siege pirates, if you will, which number 3, and then there's sort of the command crew, which was the helmsman and 2 others, I think. So hang on a second, it's 26. Yeah, 26 all total.
So we only really can take like less than half of them prisoner.
Well, 26 would be 13, and the number you can, if you want to be inhumane about it, the best number you could possibly bring in would be like 10. And that's having literally some of the prisoners sleeping on the upper decks under a canvas tarp kind of thing. And again, then the problem becomes is then you've got more pirates on board than you actually do sailors. Like I say, if I get really afraid, I'll ring the bell, and the guy in the big armored thing will come and whack you. Is a deterrent up to a point, but
What would be the minimum number of people they need to man their ship?
generally, it depends. In good weather, 12.
Mm-hmm.
Bad weather, closer to 20.
Okay.
So
taking 5 with us would solve the problem, essentially.
We give them the bare minimum crew.
And then if there's bad weather, they
They're
wait it out.
And then we can at least get a bit of bounty.
I still don't understand why we need the bounty at all. But okay.
It's more a matter of if we leave them, no matter how much we damage the ship, they will in the end be able to repair it, at which point they will be in a position to do this again, and the next ship may not be as lucky as we were.
Surely won't. And then you will have some other poor sod's death on your conscience.
Thanks, Jasper. Thanks for that.
Hey, mate, I'm trying to save lives here.
How about we employ them?
My suggestion.
Trick there is that many of them are in no condition to work,
Right.
and the ones that are, well, it would depend on how willing you are to trust them. We would need many of them if we wish to take their ship. We would have more of them than there are of us.
So, what's the plan, folks? Awkward moral decision time. What are you guys going to do?
Yeah. Lucas is up for letting them go.
Well, I defer to you, Lucas, so whatever you say goes.
You never defer to me.
I tried to give you good advice, but you can make the decision.
I believe that whatever they decide to do from this point on, they may terrorize the coast, but at least, well, today they didn't. They didn't succeed, and maybe they'll think twice about doing it again. I would like to see the captain at least return to some kind of, I don't know, town, so that they can be. It's not for us to decide what judgment they get.
Well, it is right now, isn't it?
You are functionally, I mean, so this is a thing I'm pretty sure that Lucas would be very aware of, Chevalier somewhat aware of, and Spider completely aware of. The captain of the Errant Departure's testimony would have the pirate captain swinging at the end of a noose. Piracy is just one of those things that the Progress Confederacy has a zero tolerance policy for. So if any pirate you deliver ashore to Glitter Delta Cove will die. So while it might be nice for collectively all of you to be saying, oh, it's somebody else's decision, functionally, it's a done deal. The group is currently acting as judge and executioner, if only by time delay proxy, of the pirates. That is something, like I say, Lucas would know this for sure. Chevalier would likely have at least a good understanding to suspicion of that, and Spider's seen it happen. So.
And based
Damn
on
you,
what happened with
Michelle. Damn you, Michelle, and your rhetoric.
And based on what happened with Tolman, Alexandria
I know, right?
will have some understanding of it as well.
Yes, the legal system.
Lucas wants everyone to be friends. That's what he wants.
The legal system of the Progress Confederacy is vaguely modeled after the Napoleonic system, which is that you are guilty before and must prove innocence, because it makes no sense to bring someone to trial who is innocent. And so if you wind up in front of a judge, particularly with the kind of testimony that the captain of the Errant Departure would provide, that's pretty much an open and shut case. Teehee, it was a mistake isn't the sort of a thing that's going to get you out of a piracy charge. We didn't mean to knock their mast down. It was a horrible mistake. No, okay.
In the end, we simply do not have the capacity to either bring all of them with us or to take their ship. At least not in a way that would ensure both our own and the current crew's safety. For me, I would prefer that the group is kept safe than gain whatever coin or renown we could get by handing in some miscellaneous pirates. I understand that it is not an ideal situation, but then it is never going to be. All we can do is act how the situation is present in response to the situation ahead of us, and accept whatever consequences come of it. We can't take them all, and we can't take their ship, and ultimately even just taking some potentially is going to be more effort than it is ultimately worth. If we damage their ship, destroy some of their weapons, then for at least a time, they will not be able to affect others. If we take whatever prizes they have stolen, then they will not profit from that either. And then, if they cross us again, we can simply be less forgiving.
What's Alexandre thinking? Not what is she saying, but what is she thinking? What's going on in the back of her head as this is all being discussed?
There's a lot of talk about these people, and we had this situation occur before with Tolman. Same situation, essentially. And now she would prefer to just do what she left home to do and continue traveling. The money is pointless and unnecessary, as far as she can tell. They needed money to start with. They don't need money right now. So why? Why are we doing this? Just put them on their ship, take down the mast, because it takes a day to put up a mast, apparently, and be gone.
Lucas, what's going on in the back of Lucas's head with all this?
Lucas is similarly grappling with the Tolman thing. Handing over Tolman was Lucas's idea of justice, but whether or not that was the right thing to do or the good thing to do, that's where he's knocking with. And then he trusts Jasper. And so Jasper's saying that the butterfly effect of letting these people go, what's worse? And it's all, I think that's what he's sticking with, is the fact that the outcome at the moment is all imagination. Has no idea what will happen. So who does he listen to? His brother, or that gut feeling that killing any of them actually is a bad thing?
So I need a decision,
Lucas.
folks. Are you letting me fire? I need a decision.
Lucas, you know any of these people we take in is going to be hanged. You're probably right. We can be better than that. You want to let them go, we let them go.
At least if we show them mercy, they might do that to any ship that they attack.
Okay. So
I
unless
realize,
go ahead, Chevalier.
I realize, Mr. Kilcare, that you would like this to go another way. That this is probably quite frustrating for you. And I reach down behind as I pull out and I put a hatchet onto the table. How would you like to vent some frustration on a siege engine?
Labor, mate, you've got to be kidding. I just like push it back towards you.
Then I'm going to go break a siege engine.
Have fun.
Right then. So go ahead. Yep.
I do have yeah, I mean, like, we'll do the thing, but I do have something I'd like to do before we leave. So
Sure. What's that?
when we're like cutting free the prisoners, the pirates or whatever, to leave them on, or we probably did the thing where we like leave them all tied up except one person. And then,
Your job is to run. Here you are tied over here. The knife that you can use to cut the rope is over there. Once you figure out how to do that, go ahead and free your friends and don't be so stupid. Something like that. Yep.
So I want to be the one giving that speech to the captain, if that's
Sure. Go ahead.
and.
So in the background, I was just going to say, so it's you can see all the pirates tied up on the quarterdeck, Spider having a stern conversation with the half-orc captain, and in the background, every once in a while, you're ka-crunk, and a big piece of wood flies through the air with a pan shot to Chevalier with a maul in the process of crinking the siege engine into piles of and a bunch of pirates doing this every time there's a loud noise in the background.
So I'm just like sitting in front of this guy picking my nails with a dagger or whatever, and I say, believe it or not, mate, it is your lucky day, because we're going to let the lot of you go. We're even going to let you have your ship back. It's not going to be easy, of course, fixing the whole thing, but I imagine you'll be back on your feet in no time. And I just like slam the dagger into the deck, whatever it is, 10 feet away from him.
The pirate captain, by the way, is a woman. But yeah, keep
sorry, her.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry, I didn't know that. And I lean in and I say, if you ever need safe haven in the capital, find a man by the name of Fingers and tell him the spider sent you. And I just wink at him, wink at her, and I'll leave.
There's this look of something akin to stunned shock. Like there's this long moment where they're just looking at Spider getting up, turning away, and it even takes like a few moments before they even look over at the dagger, as though, no, he did leave it there. This isn't some grand tease. Yeah, it's just within reach. And they just, like, they're just so shocked that they just sit there for a moment as Spider heads down the ladder and back over to the ship. And so there's going to be a moment, basically, a brief montage of everyone sort of lending a hand to get the repairs done. Essentially what has to be done is that using some block and tackle, the broken mast is sort of put back into position, then bracing staves are put around it, and it's sort of everything's heavily lashed and put together. There's going to be some, Lucas and Chevalier doing the work of like 5 people on one of the capstans to help with the work. There's going to be a moment where Spider's going to be hanging upside down off some rigging, tying something. There's going to be a moment where Alexandre is using her music to heal one of the crew who are seriously injured in the battle. That sort of thing.
I just imagine Alexandre having martinis and sunbaking while all of this is happening.
That too.
No martinis. Sunbaking, maybe. Maybe sunbathing, but not martinis.
But not martinis, no. There's been enough There's been enough shaken lately. All right. And so we're going to skip ahead 2 days in time. Basically, it's going to take you about a day of drifting with what's called a sea anchor, which is basically the triangular equivalent of a bag. It's what happens when you combine a bag and a parachute, and trail it out behind a ship. It basically means that the ocean prevents the ship from careening around madly in the ocean. It keeps the nose of the vessel roughly pointed in the right way, things like that. And so to allow repairs to be done in a condition that doesn't involve the ship thrashing around wildly. So there's going to be about a day of that, and then about a day of sailing a day or so it'll be about 2 days of sailing to get into Glitter Delta Cove. Glitter Delta Cove is about 12 kilometers inland. You're basically following a river, St. Lawrence River, Mississippi River kind of scales in terms of, what it looks like where it meets the ocean. It's fast moving this time of year, actually. There's a lot of water coming out of it. And Soreness will at one point in time, there's going to be sort of a meeting on the upper deck, and you're going to see her and several of her, about half the crew standing around, and she's basically giving them a lecture on what's going to be on what it is they're going to be sorting out on the trip up the river. You can all get this sensation that there's sort of an air of excitement about the conversation. So yeah. And the first thing that becomes obvious is you don't seem to be going up a river. You just, everyone's talking about the fact that we're coming into the river now, and you can see markers like, a buoy floating in the current. It's kind of heeled over at an angle like this with the flow of water curling past it. But there's no riverbanks. All you can see in most directions for several kilometers in any direction is more water. It looks like you're going into a bay, in fact, as opposed to a river. And Spider's heard of this place. I think Spider's the one who knew that this would be the ideal place to come. I think Alexandre and Chevalier also knew of it because of Grand Mare's travels. And this is supposed to be the city's on a river. That's just so. And officially, you're in a river right now, but you're not seeing one. Like I say, you seem to be in a very large bay. And there's the odd island, but the islands are barely coming up out of the water. So it's going to be an hour or two of sailing. It's awkward. The current coming out is combined with the angle of the wind means that there's slow going. It's just a lot of zigzagging to get up. They're definitely concerned about the channel. There's an awful lot of, you can hear there's most of the crew are on the upper decks most of the day. There's sail changes all the time going on. The ship's, like I say, doing this very tight zigzag as though they were sailing up a river, but it seems to have something to do with the depth of the channel in the area you guys are at. When you guys arrive at Glitter Delta Cove, it's an island. There's water all around it. Hang on a second here. I'll grab the map. So for those of you following along on the website, the World Anvil site, it is the spring flood version of the map. I've just put that up for folks watching at home, as it were. So the entire area around the place is basically water everywhere. The island is sort of this sort of teardrop shape, with the south end of the island being the bulge of the teardrop. If you take a look at the version of the map there, basically the edge of the map is sort of at the back side where it kind of curves back down into the water. The water there, the water moving through this area is pretty turbulent. There's stuff floating in it, like literally a tree. A tree goes by at one point in time. And that you guys are basically able to, without, there's a little bit of fussing to get the ship alongside, but you arrive at Glitter Delta Cove. This place is massive. Now, it's not Shining Capital. I mean, let's just be honest about that. You've literally collectively grown up in a much bigger place. But compared to Breezy Point, this place is Breezy Point would fit in one of the quarters. For perspective, right? So, have all of you folks taken a few moments prior to the stream to take a peek at the map?
Yeah, it's pretty structured. It's like it's not a town.
I'm looking at it now on the stream, so
Okay.
I can see what you can see.
I've got it up.
Sorry, what was that?
I just said I've got the map up.
Cool. So you folks are... Oops, what happened here? Where'd my map go? Hang on a sec. Oh, that's a clever behavior of you, World Endel. Hang on a sec. And reset. There we go. So you folks are down at the dock area, down here. Let's just put a marker up. So do you see where? So I've got a red marker that's tagged under RP Tools. If you turn that on, you'll be able to see it. So that is essentially where the lot of you are standing. The area that runs basically from where it says warehouse and brokers down to where it says the docks is a ramp. It comes up each of the water level distance between the shore and where the warehouses is about 2 meters, 6 feet, 7 feet. So it's a fairly shallow ramp. You can see people pushing wheelbarrows and dragging carts up and down it without any hassle whatsoever. So you're able to negotiate that without a lot of issue. But yeah, and the place is busy. It's late morning. It's actually it'd be late morning, just around lunchtime. It's a city of depending on season, somewhere between 10,000, 11,000 people, and the low for the season's around 8,800. So just to give, because particularly cities tend not to be pleasant places during summers, so the population tends to drop as groups of people who otherwise just would rather be elsewhere than in a city in the middle of a summer heat go. There are entire industries just shut off during winter, and those folks hole up in the cities. So the population drops by about 2,000 people through almost 3,000 people seasonally. So it's spring, so you're sort of somewhere in that curve, but that's still 9,000 people wandering around trying to get business done, yelling about this, chatting about that, playing music about the other thing. The dock area is busy. Every place that you could park a ship has a ship parked at it. In fact, you folks literally were just sitting literally nose into the stream with just enough sails up to keep the vessel from backpedaling as you waited for a spot to be clear, literally waiting for somebody else who is scheduled to leave to clear out so that the air at departure could come alongside and tie up. And so it's an absolute carnival down along the dock area. There is hundreds of people, sailors, crew, merchants, brokers, stevedores, watchful guardsmen, a couple of shady characters kind of casually watching over everything that's going on. But yeah, even the area around the docks up to the warehouse district is just packed full of people already. So welcome to Glitter Delta Cove. Now what? Congratulations, you made it. Now what are you going to do?
I know,
Get off
right?
the ship.
I think I can imagine all four of us just standing there looking up at this city. Like, just not kind of like, oh, we're here. Wow. Like, okay.
Oh, I imagine Alexandri has the opposite reaction. It's like, okay, good. I can get off the boat now. Let me leave. Let's go.
So the smells, by the way, are a melange. You've got obviously the smell of the river. The river, by the way, as depicted in the art, is a bright blue. That's not actually the color of the river. It's a fairly silty brown color. So there is the smell of organics. There's the smell of the city, there's the smell of spices, there's the smell of people coming and going, there's a hint of something frosty and clean in the breeze that's circling that's circling past the city. You can smell wood smoke, you can smell charcoals, you can smell something sulfury, possibly industry. It's just this, like I said, it's this melange. There's no, if someone was related to a bloodhound, may be able to pick out individual smells, but it's sort of this potpourri, if you will, of just difference. Like I say, the sound is ridiculous. The spectacle is ridiculous.
Out of character.
Yeah.
We know that Glitter Delta Cove is where the Black Hand is, right?
Okay, so it's the Silver Hand is the name of the group you're looking for.
Silver Hand.
Yeah. And the Silver Hand is actually... It's the UN of Thieves Guilds is the best way of explaining it, and Spider would be the one who would know best and would be able to explain this. But the best way of explaining it's the UN of Thieves Guilds. It's an agreement that all of the... like everything else in the Progress Confederacy, let's keep our murder and mayhem nice and organized, shall we? And so each of the local thieves guilds sort of has a way of talking to everybody else. They all agree not to shoot each other. They all agree to certain types of diplomacy. So if Spider was here on business, he would know that he would have to check in with the local guild and give them an idea why it is he's in town. If he was here to actually straight up murder someone, he'd probably have someone, a local boy or girl, assigned to hang out with him to make sure that things go easily in terms of the right people get bribed, things like that. Like the best way of explaining is, it's the United Nations of thieves and assassins across the Confederacy. That said, because of this interrelationship, this informal agreement, this unholy alliance, depending which way you want to explain it to who, depending which way you write your propaganda. This type of thing is bloody unnerving for most of the law and order folks across the Progress Confederacy. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay. Like I say, this is all things that Spider would have had time to tell you folks in your travels, since you found out who it was that Tolman claimed to work for. And keep in mind that was a claim. You have no substantiated evidence that she was telling the truth.
We did have. I've been trying to find the note I took and I can't find it. But the bodyguard thug guy,
Stewart,
gave us a location that Tolman would go to often. It was like a red door.
Yeah, down by the docks.
Down by the docks, that's what it was.
So you're standing on the docks. I would like you to take a look at where if you again take a look at the map. Even if you go to the World Anvil site, you turn on the RP Tools layer. You'll see the little red dot to indicate where you guys are standing on the pier, and that first row of buildings you're looking at is all warehouses. Which red door are you looking for?
I don't know.
A red door?
Yeah, I mean...
Yes, you know that somewhere in the Docks Warehouse District there is a, quote, red door that Tolman apparently checked in at regularly. And your lovable c'est la vie thug was never allowed inside. He basically had to wait outside, wait for Tolman to come back out, and then they would get. So he had no idea what it was. He just knew that Tolman routinely went there, apparently to get orders or some kind or taskings. But beyond that,
remind me again, brother dearest, why you want to reach out to the most notorious thieves guild in all of the Confederacy?
I don't want to, but they might be able to help us.
Well,
What?
should we at least find out if there's a ship for Dusseldorf in the next week or so? And that's where we're headed, right?
Mm-hmm.
After, like, how are we going sort of like fund-wise, I guess, after paying for this?
All right. So mechanically, you're all wealth
trip.
level. Mechanically, you're all wealth level 2, I believe, which means that putting up an inn is no problem. Being able to afford passage on a ship, tricky, but doable. Probably won't actually, quote, do damage. Keep in mind that one of the ways that Open Legends works is that if you really try and reach outside your wealth means, you literally permanently lose a wealth level and then have to regain it later on. So interestingly enough, for example, if you discover a treasure chest, the mechanical effect might be that you all gain a wealth level. Or if you find a dragon's hoard, that might be worth 2 wealth levels.
Or if, for example, you took a pirate ship and sold it.
Yeah, that would be probably
Yeah.
2 wealth levels.
Hypothetically.
Just
Hypothetically.
as an
I don't- yeah.
example.
On the other hand, if you decided you wanted to buy a castle, that's probably going to cost you a couple of wealth
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it depends. So that's how the Open Legends highly abstracts the concept of gold. So it's in game. It's a handful of marks. It's a dozen crowns. It's whatever. It's starbursts. It's thorns. It's whatever country you're in. But for the purposes of day to day, we don't bother worrying about if you've got 25 silver on you or not. It'll be in the narrative that this inn is going to cost you this much. It's blah blah. But to me, the question is, you're all wealth level 2. You can stay in an adventurer inn. If you crimp a little bit and double up, you can stay at one of the really wealthy inns in town. That's the effect. That's how it works. All right, make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So. Keep in mind, as a reminder, you're literally all standing on a dock, having a conversation about, okay, so now what?
I would like to go into the city, please.
Yeah, we'll make our way to a tavern or something.
All right.
A cafe.
Yep. The crew of the ship you were on told you about a good place in the Red Bricks called the Blue Skies Inn. This is the place that Spider's card playing told him about, right? And so it's like I say, if you flip open to places of interest, it pops up as a blue tankard over in the Red Bricks district. Quote, popular P&B with rougher segment of through passers and travelers such as adventurers and sellswords. There was sort of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge that was part of the conversation, if you recall, in that it's a bit of a rough place. There was a word of caution about keeping an eye on Milady when she's staying there, sort of thing, was part of the conversation that would have gone that came with Spider, but. Basically, if you want a good place to stay that doesn't ask too many questions about a bunch of heavily armed adventurers who may or may not be coming via the windows at 2:00 in the morning, Blue Skies Inn.
Let's go there.
Now there are inns and there are P&Bs, pub and bed houses all over the city. Particularly the Merchant District, for example, has a dozen of them of various standings. The question is how the ones which are basically catering towards a mercantile craft. It's like the equivalent of staying at a business suites. Alexandria probably would fit in just fine with that type of a crowd. Less so the walking wall, less so the military fellow, and less so the Spider.
It's not nice. Oh, right. The walking wall. I thought that was Spider. Okay.
So from the perspective of where are you going to all get the least number of questions and stares, that's probably someplace in the Red Brick District. Of which the one the crew knows best is the Blue Skies. But if you guys want to just wander around and explore the place, meta, go ahead and ask questions about the various districts and what have you, and we can declare that you guys are essentially having a tour de ville for a few hours before you decide where you want to stop. That's cool by me.
Yeah, we've got our
Even
Lonely
if-
Planet guide.
Even if everybody else declines to be, I will be disguised.
Oh, right. So Terry's back. Who else? What about everybody?
Teddy Tarantino
Yep.
reporting for duty.
There are no veils in evidence here.
I wouldn't.
I'll put a moustache on and a hat.
I don't know if I offer you the disguise again.
Well, no, then he's going to use that fancy accent of his, and we're not sure we're here for that.
Obviously, we need Lucas to come up with a new persona.
I can do more than one accent.
I
We've
bet he
seen
can.
But we've seen no,
No,
evidence
please.
of that. Is the point?
I haven't seen the evidence that he can do one other accent. But all right.
Ouch.
Bird.
I would probably. I'm like not in a way that's like trying to disguise, but just sort of like some sort of long coat and stuff to sort of that like a casual glance isn't going to be like that's a large robot. Be like weird. It's just sort of-
No, instead it becomes that's a large robot in a coat.
I'm just
Well,
all
it's
I can
like-
think of is the original. The original.
like why is that man wearing a mask? And then like
Sorry, just the original TMNT movie. There's a moment where cab driving through New York. Donatello's chasing Casey. Casey jumps over the hood of the cab. Donatello rolls across the hood of the cab. Guy in the back, a businessman, says, "What was that?" Cab driver shrugs. "Looked like a turtle in a trench coat to me. We're going to LaGuardia, right?" Like completely unfazed. And sorry, it's robot in a trench coat, right? So as I posted in the chat, by the way, it's early spring as a reminder. So there's a bit of an east wind, bit breezy. It's around 12 degrees Celsius, quarter cloud cover. So it's not an unpleasant day down on the docks as you guys move deeper into the city. So Chevalier, here's a fancy question. What stat does hide a robot in a trench coat amount to, do you think?
I mean probably deception.
Logic.
Yeah,
logic.
disguising is under deception.
Deception.
All right. Just for amusement, why don't you roll a deception and we'll see if you're recognizable to Alexandre.
I mean
Wait, what? We're not trying to hide from her.
I'm gonna be really happy if I roll amazingly well, but like he's not trying to. He's more sort of like it's just sort of.
Oh, you're not like getting me to disguise you. You're just wearing a coat.
It's just putting on clothes.
Sure.
Like it's more to sort of like it's not to sort of hide what he is, but to mean like to sort of limit the amount of panic he causes. Also, I got a 16.
A 16. All right. Well, 16 is actually a pretty respectable roll.
Alexandre doesn't know what you look like. I rolled an 11. Alexandre is confused.
Who's this chap standing beside Lucas and where's Chevalier?
When was the last time, like outside of like, I suppose like, I'm about to say like when was the last time you saw him actually putting some clothes on? There's like, oh wait, no, we did the whole disguise thing like days ago.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Man.
It's been a long few days. I'm traumatized.
So, by the way, a 15 is considered a challenging DC. So if you rolled a 16, it is relatively challenging for people. Like, literally, that is enough that casual passerbys are just going to see a large guy in a trench coat or whatever, sort of bulky cloak and hood and all that other stuff. I mean, you're still a big figure, and so there's going to be sort of that the sort of implicit area that people don't want to walk into the space. Andre the Giant kind of thing, sort of keeps the space clear, even if he's walking through Times Square.
Like if people are going, no, well,
Yeah, exactly.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I rolled a 31 on my disguise.
Okay, so you've managed to disguise yourself as a pixie. That's pretty impressive.
No, the point is I'm very unremarkable. I'm just a guy.
Just a guy. Okay, you've literally a 31. That is a legendary roll.
Just
that
the
is
guy.
fantastic.
I mean,
Standing on a dock.
when you have an exploding D10 attached, it's pretty
Oh, that's hysterical, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just some guy, you know?
17, 10, and 4.
Yeah.
I feel like Alexandria should be rolling presents because she's absolutely the opposite. She's not that at all.
So
Is that to try and hold the presents in?
Walking through downtown.
Well, that was the rest of it. Yeah, what was it? I mean, Alexandre and Chevalier walk around. Alexandre is still the first person you look at.
Yeah. So what are you folk up to now? Heading up to the
Getting
inn,
used to
or where are you going?
walking on land.
All right.
I think, yeah. Either we go to the inn or we
Yes.
have an explore.
Okay.
Go to the inn first and then have an explore.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to go find a place to stay and dump our stuff and talk about what we're going to do.
All right. That makes some sense.
And we can have a drink at the same time.
Excellent plan. That'll always end well. So the Blue Skies Inn is a pretty comfortable place. It's fairly large. They got 14 tables. There's a common room with 17 tent beds, which is a reasonable amount of privacy, actually, for a common room. And there's 12 private rooms. As it says here, as you enter, you smell perfumes. Oops, bing, bing. What was that? It just did it again. That was the sound we heard the last time, and I didn't know where it comes from. Oh, yeah. So, as you enter, you smell perfumes and fresh pastries. It seems to be a jovial place lit brightly by magic orbs and crystals. A sign just outside the door, in spite of the way the place is decorated, says, "No spell casting." The menu has the usual standard fare. The house specialty drink is a blended whiskey, and the house specialty meal is a poached Hans fish served with mushrooms. So that's the place. It's a 3-story affair, kind of built in a. It looks like a child had an argument with a Jenga pile. Is the best way of describing the way it's kind of stuck together. It ought not to remain standing, but it seems to be doing so just fine anyway.
It has character.
Are we going to die?
I hope not.
I've lived out of worse places than this.
Surely it's lasted this long, based on good structural engineering.
Maybe today is the day.
Maybe.
You're not that heavy, princess.
Oh, okay. I know. Sorry, I know what the racket I just heard in my headphones was. That was you two posting links in the Twitch chat. That was the Twitch alarm for naughty link posting. Okay, great. I don't know if that came through in the stream or not, but it was bloody loud in my headphones. Okay, keep going. Sorry, just solving mysteries here.
Jasper, a gentleman never comments on a woman's weight.
Who are you talking to?
Since when was Jasper a gentleman?
True.
Bang.
I feel like I'm caught in the middle of something here. I'm just going inside.
Okay.
I'll approach the like if there's a front desk or whatever for us to book a couple of rooms.
Yeah, so essentially, places like this, usually everything is run essentially from the bar. So you wander up, chat with the housekeeper, and they can get you a few rooms. Just out of amusement, everyone roll me a d6 and tell me if you roll a 1.
Nope.
I did.
Excellent. So they're actually really, really busy, and they're short enough rooms for 2 of you.
No, 2 rooms is fine.
So you'll have to double up if you want. You can either stay in the common room, which is a little bit cheaper, admittedly, or you can double up and split rooms.
No, we'll just take the 2 rooms, thank you.
Right. So yeah.
You can put them
Double up.
under bill.
Mm-hmm. Bill, it is. He looks. Is that Bill 17 or Bill 18? He says. He kind of flips through a list. You can literally see he's got a sheet of paper, and it's the same 7 names over again: Bill, Bob, Sam, Jane, Susie, and he's just got numbers beside them, right? Like, let me guess. Traveling campaigners, huh?
No.
No, of course not. All right, Bill 21. All right, you've got these 2 rooms. Brunch is basically we do brunch twice, right after sunup, 2 hours after that. That's included in the price of your room. Your lunch and your supper's up to you. We've got we're doing okay on the taps. We've just got a brand new a brand new blonde in from the brewery just up the way. Everybody's really liking that, and yeah, welcome. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you.
By the way, the owner's a male half elf, brown eyes, keeps his hair in a mohawk of all things, short mohawk. Seems a pretty jovial sort of, very jovial and enthusiastic. Lots of wink, wink, Monty Python kind of gesturing and that sort of thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, Chevalier and I will take this room, and you 2 can be over the other side of the hall.
You're so funny. You're like the funniest person I've ever met in my life.
I'm sorry, I can't tell which face was more amusing, Alexandre's or Lucas's.
Lucas is speechless. Lucas is like, confused.
Sort of shake my head and go up to it and check out and have a look at these rooms.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. All right. We've been at it for an hour now. So, yeah, we got a late start, but we've still been at it for over an hour at this point. So we'll take a quick 5-minute break. Everyone go refill your glasses, and whatever else. And then we will be back and, yeah, continue on with you guys' exploration of the city and trying to figure out what the next big step in the adventure is going to be. All right. Alrighty, folks, we're back. I even remembered to turn the microphones on, so that's cool. I'm learning. All right. So, yeah. So at this point, you guys are up in the Red Brick District of your temporary brand new home. So, yeah. What's the...
I'm still not sure if you were joking, Spider, about...
He was joking. No, we're not sharing a room. No,
cover that up.
No.
Make sure.
Okay, Chevalier, you take the one on the left, and I'll have this one. All right.
You're still joking, and it's confusing me.
How are you confused by this?
Oh, were you talking to me? My name's Bill.
Bill,
Yes, Bill 21.
Bill 17.
We are.
Yeah, Bill 21, in fact, yes. Bill 21.
So Bill 17 and I will go in one room.
That
Yeah.
seems wise.
Wait.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Glad we cleared that up.
Michelle, I have a very, very important question.
Sure thing, what's that?
When I walk into this room, is it a normal bed or is it a bunk bed?
All right, so the way these both the rooms are set up is they have a regular bed, which is
Okay, good.
All right, which is single-ish sized. Keep in mind that medieval beds, unless you threw a ton of cash, are usually filled with something like goose feather or down, or are made of hide. In other words, they require a ton of gathered material to make even a modest-sized mattress. So the other bed in the room, to make it will sleep too, is literally, do you remember you've seen older houses where the ironing board folds up into the wall? That's the other bed. Basically, you pull it down and it drops across the foot of the other bed, making it impossible to use the door with the second bed down.
Man, I was hoping that I could just like take the mattress from the first bed, put it on the second bed, and have a comfortable bed.
Oh, you probably could, yes. I mean, you can essentially dismantle the second bed. You know, just leave the slat that folds up into the wall. And but by default, the way that these rooms get 2 beds in them is by having one of them fold up into the wall.
So, which bed did you want?
The softer one, please.
I think I help, craft the Franken bed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, because admittedly, it's not like Chevalier actually sleeps. He just kind of sits in a corner on idle.
Jasper, fight you for the big bed.
You win.
Great. I think that this would be such a common thing that I'm like, I just say it and then sit down on the big bed. Like, fight you for it, and I just sit down.
I've slept on worse.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
me
from
too.
Spider's perspective, at least the roof here doesn't seem to leak. And there's no one pointing a crossbow at you, so it's above several places you've slept.
Yet.
What did you say, Drew?
Yes. Yeah. Alrighty. So, like I say, if you guys, I can put a map of the place together if you want for next week. But essentially, as I say, it's sort of this Jenga pile of blocks that are roughly flying in loose formation. And, there are, rooms sort of sticking out at all kinds of odd angles. And it's a very odd style of design. It doesn't look like anything you've seen in Shining Capital. I'm not going to say that the Confederacy tends towards brutalist architecture, but they prefer to they tend to favor straight lines, things like even neat, tidy, organized, simplistic designs that are easy to build, easy to replicate, relatively egalitarian in layout. All of the buildings around here look, like a child got mad at a Jenga pile. Is the looking out your window at all the buildings around here in this area, they were all creative. Is the best way of explaining the architecture. It's curves where you're used to seeing straight lines. It's arcs where you'd expect to see flat surfaces. It's why would you emboss roof tiles? Why would you take the time to emboss roofing tiles? And yet the roof across the street, all the roofing tiles clearly embossed with some kind of pattern. I don't want to use the phrase alien because that's overstating it, but it's definitely not your typical architecture for the Progress, for the Confederacy.
I think my video just crashed.
Jamie and Sam just did a blinky switch. There we go.
So after we've settled in, I'll knock on the other door and I'll say, meet us down in the... was there like an eating?
Yeah,
like
there's
a mess.
Yeah, there's a pretty it's a P and B stands for pub and bed. So
Yeah, right.
Right, so there's a pretty substantial pub that comes with this place. I think I said there was like 14 odd tables or something like that. And those tables range between 2 to 6 people depending where you want. So there's a decent sized fireplace. There's a decent sized bar, a bar that you can just it's a leaning bar as opposed to having stools. But there's a place to hang out. There's a decent sized fireplace. There's a minstrel over in a corner singing fun drinking songs. It's a pretty lively place.
So I'll tell them to meet us down in the pub, and then I'll try and get us a table that has a good view of the room and particularly of like any doors in.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, you can do that. That's just for chuckles, roll me a d6. Don't roll a 1.
I in fact rolled a 6.
Excellent. So at this point in time, you guys are, like I say, you're right around lunchtime. The place is busy. But you're able to secure a table pretty much that it meets your specifications. It's a hexagonal style table, seats 5. That'll leave you essentially. You'll be all able to sit with the chair that's got its back into the room empty. So yeah. So you're all Bill 27.
I'm definitely
and
buying
company.
drinks.
Pardon?
I'm definitely buying drinks.
You're definitely buying drinks.
Before we head downstairs, Alexandra is just gonna say to the next place we go, we are not in the progress anymore.
If we are able to secure transport, yes, likely we will be leaving the Confederacy. Is that still where you are being directed to go?
I think so.
Just for clarity, narrative clarity, for Alexandre, it's less that she needs to go to Dusseldorf, as it's like she has a mental compass in her head that's pointing inland. Literally, she could just start walking and know where to go. The problem is there's a bloody big mountain range that's awkwardly in the way, and she hasn't figured out flying yet. So the Dusseldorf is more the easiest way to get up into the Sky Anvil Plains. But from her perspective, it's literally at right angle. It's almost at a 45-degree angle to the direction that's calling her. Okay, just narratively.
Mm-hmm. Do you think La Chanson will tell me what I'm doing?
I would imagine as you get closer to the destination, the goal might steadily become clearer, but I do not imagine you will have a complete sense until just before you are required to do whatever it is you are being called to do. As far as I understand, until the last moments, Elena was not entirely clear what the final step would be. And, well, she never told me what it was.
Sometimes I wonder whether or not it will actually tell me, or just let me guess. I don't know how specific a place. It's like I'm being pulled somewhere, and then when I get there, I don't know if what I'm being pulled to is a box or a city. And then what if I get to the city and then I just don't feel it anymore and I don't know?
It is not my experience, limited as it may be, that the song just abandons its herald on a whim. You were chosen. there was a specific task in mind. If it is not made clear to you, you will not be able to do it. And that would seem like a waste. Whether or not you choose what you decide to do once you reach that final moment, whether the song tells you what is expected or if it is self-evident at that point. I do not imagine the song will abandon you before that moment. And in that moment, you will have the information you need to make your decision.
What if it makes the wrong one?
The same as with any other decision that we make. You make the best decision that you can based on the information that you have, and you accept that you will have to live with the consequences. It is all we can ever do. Are you concerned?
Yes.
I do not. I don't think that there was a point in all the time that I was traveling with Elena that she ever felt completely confident in what she was doing or her position, just that she needed to keep going. It was not going to be easy. It's not going to have some clear moment of revelation where suddenly everything makes sense. But you have friends now that will support you. Don't make that face at me.
Friends?
You know it's true.
Don't tell them.
Your secret is safe. Come on. We should discuss our next step.
Okay.
Put her arm around her shoulder as we go down.
All right.
Jasper, if you owned a tavern, what would you call it?
The Giant's Doorknob.
That's a pretty good answer. I'd have one and I'd call it the Coat of Arms.
Isn't there a pub called the Coat of Arms back in the capital?
Is there?
Huh. That's the one with the like the horse head on the sign out the front.
So, well, that sucks.
I mean, it's a pretty generic name, Lucas. I don't know what you were
I thought I would be
expecting.
at least the one to come up with it. I thought there was some kind of original idea. We're a long way from home.
About as far as I've ever been.
Do you think you'll ever go back?
I certainly hope so.
I mean, home.
Guess it depends who's running the show, doesn't it, Lucas?
You didn't really give him a chance to listen.
I didn't give him a chance to listen.
You just stormed out.
Is that how you remember it?
I'm not saying that what he said. I'm not forgiving him. I'm not justifying him. I'm not.
Him and Prickter laughed at me, Lucas.
People change.
Yeah, they do.
Why do you think that they are any different?
Contrition has never been Lord Edgewater's forte.
Well, I know that Mother misses you.
Yeah.
You could at least drop by to see us sometime.
Can I? Without being arrested?
Come on, Jasper, you know as well as I do that you can get in and out of that place without being seen. Look,
I mean, it's not like she ever came to see me either, you know? I appreciate the dosh, don't get me wrong, but
think
do you
about it.
really think that I don't defer to you?
I think that you are a survivor and that you do what you need to survive.
Lucas, you're the only person I've met in the whole Confederacy who thinks about other people before themselves. And whilst I think you're a big stinking idiot, I think you're a very good big stinking idiot. I'll give you as much advice as I've got in the way I would do things, but if this old place is ever going to be any better than it is, it needs people like you, not people like me.
I just don't want you to get hurt. You go off and do things and you associate with people that are out to kill you. I just want you to enjoy. Enjoy life. I don't know what that is for you. That's why I came on this adventure, because I think this, you might find it.
Yeah, you might be
At least
right.
I might understand what it is.
You know, I still want to make a difference. Like we talked about as kids. It's not impossible, Lucas.
It's not. You're right.
It's hard for me because I want to do things your way. But the only way I've seen things get done is the other.
I feel like we need a few more drinks to keep talking.
No, damn right. Oh. Speaking of tall glasses of water, who is that masked man in that very fine coat?
Bravo. I think he was talking about Alexandria, by the way.
Almost certainly.
No, I am. I've been here the whole time.
Valia looks over his shoulder.
I think Lucas wants to go a game of Centurion again with you, Alexandria.
We've got this excellent blonde ale. That or the local brew is a whiskey.
And what, you want to drink 100 of those as well?
Oh no. No.
No.
No, I'm not an idiot.
Says
I
about
mean,
who
I've
tried
tried before,
to.
but you
Yes.
can learn from your mistakes.
Did you?
Well, I'm definitely not playing Centurion with Scotch. Tell you
I
what,
feel
that
as
was
though
a
you've-
messy night.
I feel like you've learned less than you think you have.
I think you're a chicken.
I'm getting 100 scotches.
Oh no. No,
Suffice
please
to
don't.
say that there's a very funny look when you put your request in with the server, but they do their head. Well, it's only 3 bottles. Okay, let's see your money first before I go get that pile. Chink, chink. All right, then.
Yeah. Great. I just come back with the bottles.
Yeah. So the head server is a human lass, kind of tall, a little bit husky, brown eyes, dark hair, basically shaved clean. And just kind of this odd look in her expression when you try and explain the idea that you need 100 shots of whiskey. And she's looking at you and then kind of looks past you towards, the table you came from and does a little bit of a head count and you can see glances over at the bouncer at the door and kind of, okay, fine. You've got the money. We've got the bouncer. Fine.
Amazing. So good. All right. I'm coming over. I've got my...
That would be, by the way, that's essentially 3 bottles is what you're strolling back to the table with.
Brill. Yeah, I bring back 3 bottles and I open one up. So, who's in?
Just you, mate.
Oh, come on, I can't be drinking on my own.
Explain to me the concept of responsible drinking.
I don't
Responsible
drink.
Drinking. That
Sounds
is
like-
responsible, not drinking.
Yes, but it's less responsible when you can't drink. You don't have a choice.
Correct. That's just semantics.
Okay.
I think this is my workings of this. If I drink and Chevalier is responsible, then that is responsible drinking.
Okay, let me rephrase. How do I drink so I don't hurt in the morning?
Drink lots of water as well.
Chevalier.
As far as I have been able to tell, pacing yourself, and as Mr. Edgewater points out, alternating alcohol for water to rehydrate can help. But moderation is generally key.
Are you in, Jasper?
I'll have one.
100.
Slides a bottle.
I do have 3 bottles, and there are 3 of us.
Wait, we can have
I'm
one
not
and save
drinking
the
a
rest for
bottle of
later.
whiskey.
What, are you chicken?
No, I'm little. This clown.
Well, I'm starting because I'm thirsty. Okay.
All right then.
Okay. So where are we going from here? I mean, 4 drinks in is probably not the time for Lucas, but I still have to ask the question before it doubles out.
I mean, we leave, right? The Confederacy.
Okay.
Need to find passage on a ship heading to Düsseldorf. Would probably be the best bet. Overland it's a long way.
Yeah, just it's not impossible, as it's just, you know, you basically hike to the foot of the mountains and then try and find one of the flyer folk to take you up to take you up into the mountains. It's just, it would be a long slog. That is very true.
So we just need to find someone who's willing to sail.
Or someone who is going there already.
Is it a strange place to go? Would we look suspicious?
I don't know. This is the farthest away from the capital I've ever been.
I feel like we would have to search fairly hard to find the place where the 4 of us together does not look suspicious.
I was just thinking that. You quote stares at Chevalier. I mean,
gestures at all of self.
Chevalier, maybe everyone over there looks like you do.
I would be very surprised if that were the case. I feel like someone would have at least mentioned it.
The land of the automatons.
Some sort of Praetorian nation.
What if that's a thing?
I
What if
wouldn't
there are
know.
more of you?
It is certainly a possibility. I have never encountered one, nor would I know where to look. But I came from somewhere, and
Do you
if they
want
could
to
make
find
one,
another?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I have had a few drinks and I get all
I missed
interrupted.
the question. That is all.
Have you? Do you want to find another Praetorian?
It has never been high on my list of priorities. Theoretically, if I had nothing else that I wanted to do, I could potentially go look. But I am not. It is not something I worry about.
But you're curious.
If there were more of, if somewhere out there was another Praetorian, perhaps, potentially they would know where we came from. And that would be interesting to know. But it is not something I need to know. It is not something I consider to be important.
Fair enough. So who do we need to talk to?
I mean, I would imagine there is someone or someplace on the docks where we could get a sense of what ships go where. Potentially there are ones that regularly run between here and Düsseldorf. Failing that, we could simply ask. Someone may have heard something or know of a captain.
Jasper.
Awful smoky, this stuff.
Nice and peaty.
Yeah, like melted
Good
cartwheels.
Melted cartwheels.
I think it tastes like the sea. What do you think, Alexandre?
Only having one.
That's it wouldn't be called Centurion if you just have one.
Well, we can pretend that this one that I have is 100 put together.
Feel like those three descriptions are just a terrible advertisement for the whiskey at this place.
Oh, yeah. That's why there's only one. Because I've listened to that description, and Alexandria would not drink that.
Well, shame that I spent all of our money on them. They were quite expensive.
You can take it back. We only opened one bottle. There's 2 others.
Yeah.
Lucas, you're not sitting by yourself and having a centurion of whiskey.
Look, I mean, like, it would be good to have for future travels anyway. On the road.
Okay. Do you have an alcohol problem?
I don't see it as a problem.
If we just take that away from you, are you
If you
okay?
take it away from me, I'm not going to enjoy myself. I'll be okay. I have restraint.
Okay.
We call
Just
it discipline.
wondering. Discipline. Is it discipline that helps you finish a centurion too?
Oh, yes. Takes a lot of strength of mind to get through a game of Centurion.
Okay.
You know what always bothered me about it? There's not actually a game part to it. You just keep drinking.
That was what I experienced too. I'm glad it wasn't just me.
Yeah, and you won.
I don't understand how I won.
Well, you finished all the drinks.
Yes.
You won.
It's not a game, Lucas.
Well, it is, because if you don't finish the drinks, then you can lose.
And then I was very sick, so I would say I would lose.
Oh, that's the reward.
I don't want it.
Oh, come on.
How do you give
Like a
back that
badge
kind of
honor.
reward?
Well, you-
A badge of honor to throw up all of the alcohol I put in my body?
Life experience?
I think you're crazy.
You're not the only one.
Oh, good.
Fine then, I'll take it back.
Luck with that.
All right, folks.
Can I try and take the bottles back, Michelle?
So you're charged a slight restocking fee, but yeah, I mean, at the point you haven't opened them, you haven't tampered with them, that's fine. You know.
I'm very unhappy about this. I'm taking them back. I'm as annoyed as I assume the bartender's annoyed too.
Not much, I mean, but yeah. All right, folks, we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be into the last little bit for the day. So yeah, so 2-3 minutes, and then we'll try and sort out what the grand plan for the next chunk of the adventure is. Congratulations, it's the dog and bumper syndrome. You've caught the car. Now what? All right, right back.
I have significantly less alcohol in front of me now.
Yes, that is
Good.
a dire circumstance. So, as Lucas is at the bar, sort of not quite arguing with the bartender, but trying not to be embarrassed by the innkeep is the best way of putting it, and sort of having the quibble about the restocking fee, Alexandre begins to hear the chanson. It's very faint, slowly. And for her, the usual times the song has just arrived without comment, if you will, has been usually a sign of danger of some kind, a warning. And so almost instinctively, I think she would probably start glancing around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, coming in is, it's hard to describe him. Ebon elf, rare, aka drow. They do exist. They're uncommon. Normally, particularly in broad daylight, they tend to be literal. They tend not to frequent the daylight hours. The sunlight is hard on them. It's not that they're crippled in any way. It's just it's incredibly uncomfortable. So it's probably not a surprise that this chap is dressed in head to toe, akin to his skin color, right down to what would essentially amount to sunglasses. Sort of a cavalier sort of attire, broad-brimmed hat, flowing black feathers, probably some bird the size of an ostrich contributed them to the cause. Walking cane, broad shoulders. The best way of describing him is dripping with class. And he walks in, looks around, and his eyes come to rest on Alexandre's. And he gives a slight nod. And then he walks over to the bar and stands beside Lucas.
Is that a friend of yours, Alexandria?
No.
Awful familiar.
Eh,
Can I turn to him and offer him, do you want to buy a bottle of scotch?
He laughs. I try not to drink anything this place serves. What's your name?
Marcus.
Marcus. Puts a hand out. Wearing a very fine leather, sort of almost a suede glove. This guy is haute couture. He probably is wearing the economic output of a small village on his back in terms of the finery of his clothes, dripping with gems and embroidery. And Lucas, this guy's just way over the top for this place. He's clearly, there's an awful lot of people who are staring, and the bartender is edging down the bar, away from you two.
Mm-hmm. If you don't drink anything this place has to offer, why are you here?
I heard there might be some new friends in town. He offers his hand to shake. My name's Equidium.
Oh, you did? Equidium.
Yes.
I'll take his hand.
He smiles slightly. So, I have a problem which I lack physical resource for, but have sufficient monetary resource to resolve, if you follow my meaning. I understand that you and your compatriots have just recently arrived in town. I have friends on the docks who watch out for interesting people for me. And I'm given to understand you and your friends suit the bill. So, he kind of gestures at the window, which is streaming brilliant light in. It's a unpleasant circumstances for me to do business, as you might understand. So I'm going to have to head home shortly. But if you're equitable with meeting me on more comfortable terms, for me at least, come find me in the Lake of Ancestors this evening, just about sundown. Just before sundown, that way it'll be much easier on me, and you won't need to feel like you're walking into some evil ambush in the dark. He grins at you. Not that I could do such a thing, of course.
Of course. I shall let my friends know.
He looks over at the bartender. 50 more. He drops a small velveteen bag on the table. Their tabs on me for today. Treat them well. Yes, sir. And he turns around and walks out the door.
Great. I'm going to turn to the
And they're just going to say, and there's this really, it's not quite a dead silence that's been reigning over the last, it's just one of those things where your brain is so focused on what's going on, you've been blocking out all of the other noise around you. And then suddenly it's like, oh yes, I'm standing in a bar. It's like all of the sound of the bar comes back to you. But even if you look around, you realize there's several people who are, Spider in particular, has a pretty high notice. And the reaction across the room has been very intently one of three things. I'm staring at the table, I'm staring at the table, I'm staring at the table, or Who the fuck is he talking to? Or who? Why is he here? Sort of three broad reactions across the room.
Okay. I'm just going to turn to the bartender and say, Aquidium, who... Forgive my ignorance, but who is he?
By the way, and this is the chap who's been sort of bubbly and all but to the point of frothy in all of your dealings with him so far, and he's very visibly not that right now. Well, he kind of leans forward. He's one of the old school nobles who didn't come out so well when the Confederacy arrived, if you understand my meaning.
Okay.
So yeah, he's got a little bit of a grudge, and a lot of money. But yeah. I understand he pays well.
What does he do?
Excellent question, says Viviamore.
So,
he just seems to have a lot of money, shows up at random wanting to talk to people who've recently arrived under the name of Bill or Susan.
okay.
Michelle,
I've got
this is. So I'm not again like changing this topic at all, but I'd like to invoke my observant perk, which means that I notice something out of the ordinary about this fellow as he's leaving.
Sure. Interestingly enough, he actually walks with a very thin limp. He is fantastic at concealing it. He has managed to, he has clearly spent an awful lot of time training so that he walks like bloody glass. But to Spider, you can tell he's actually got a bit of a limp. Clearly an injury of some kind.
Okay, cool.
You are muted, Chantal.
I should not be muted.
You are not muted now.
Okay. Can I do the exact same thing with my perk?
Which perk is that perk?
The reflavored Whisper of the Wild, in which I essentially ask the song a yes/no question.
Sure. Ask a good question.
I doubt that will be the case, but the question, and I think the question is just to confirm: should I be afraid of this person?
And it's a yes/no question. Should you be afraid of this person? No.
Okay. Good to know.
So Lucas, you've repatriated the extra bottles. You apparently suddenly have a tab, and you suddenly have a space about sword's length around you that no one wants to stand in. Now what?
I look at everyone. Can I take... Nobody wants to come near me. I'm like...
Alexandre will.
Great.
Okay.
I'm just like... waiting. I clearly have noticed. I mean, it's quite a normal thing, I would assume, is that if... Well, even in Shining Capital, if I would have walked into a tavern like this, people would notice. And anyone I talk to, you can imagine that people just like, yeah, what? Like yeah, it's a ring of unpopularity.
Alexandre breaks that ring of unpopularity.
I'm just going to say, Aquidian was here, +2, yeah. So, yeah. Go ahead, Alexandre.
That was Aquidian. Apparently, quite a wealthy noble. He seemed very interested in us. He knew we were here.
Yes. We should probably not have this conversation here.
Okay. Well, he gave us a bar tab.
Oh,
Hmm.
I see.
Meaning I get to keep the bottles.
Yes, you do. You get to keep the bottles.
That's 3 for the road.
I mean, it's 2 for the road. Are you buying another one?
I mean, if I'm responsible and I don't finish the 3rd.
Teehee.
At which point in the times that I've known you have you been responsible?
I mean, shots fired.
Please answer truthfully.
I have been responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not surrounding what I drink, but in other ways.
Yes.
You literally
If-
just saved a bunch of pirates out on the water.
There we go.
Where did you come from?
Jasper.
Um,
Oh,
I was
very
just
good at
gonna
hiding.
sit.
He's
And-
just sitting by himself at the table.
And still somehow managing to occupy it? Yes.
I wasn't gonna sit by myself with a tin can and just be quiet. I'm going to the bathroom. I was just passing by.
How much did
brain.
Jasper drink while I wasn't at the table?
I don't
Nothing.
I don't know, but he seems to pee a lot. Notice this. Nervous bladder.
Was he drinking lots of water?
I have no idea.
That's what happens when you break the seal.
I'm sorry.
When you break the seal. So,
No, I don't think I need to know.
I'll explain it to you some other time.
Can I choose the option where you don't?
Sure. But
Okay.
you'll always be curious.
No, the curiosity is magically gone. No spell casting. Back to the table.
Okay. Just gonna grab these.
Are people still watching us?
No, the bar has largely gone back to itself. At the end of the day, someone like Aquidian is just so out of place in a place like this that he attracts a ton of attention. And then, and he's clearly been here before, based on what the bar says. So there's sort of this, but at the same token, everybody here's here because they are on business by definition. It's all merchants, travelers, other adventurers, it's rough travelers, that sort of thing. And so nobody's in this building casually, if you will. Everyone's here with their own business in mind. And so the initial disruption fades shortly after you all powwow and regroup back at your table. Actually, before that, actually. Once Aquidian had left the place and it was clear there wasn't going to be a fight that anyone had to worry about themselves, everyone sort of went back to their own business.
So, what did tall, dark, and handsome want?
He wants to meet us.
Well, then he
Sounds
probably
interesting.
shouldn't have left.
No, he wanted to meet us at dusk.
Oh, right, on account of...
He seems to be, well, he seems to seek out anyone that arrives at the docks that seem interesting.
I don't think so. I think he was looking for us specifically.
Right. Well, the bartender said that he comes in, he's been here. Well, that's his thing.
What did he say to you, Lucas?
He said to meet him at the Lake of Ancestors at sunset.
And he had work for people like us, or...
Well, yeah.
Well,
What was he offering?
He didn't say. He just said he wanted to talk to us at a time that was, and a location that was kinder to him. And I look at the sun coming in through the window.
Yeah, for perspective, at this point, from Alexandria's perspective, Chevalier is now less rare than Ebon Elves are from Alexandria's perspective. See, she's seen Chevalier several times a week. That would be the first time she's ever laid eyes on an Ebon Elf. Yeah. So technically,
She's seen Chevalier several times a week.
Therefore, frequent. A frequent occurrence.
Yeah, that's a
I
Chevalier.
was
I
right.
recognize it anyway.
I was correct in saying the bartender said that he looks for adventurers, right? Just don't want to make
well, I'm
sure.
just going to say, yeah, well, what the bartender said is he has a habit of coming in looking for anyone who signs in under the name of Bill or Susan.
That's it. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Cool. I paraphrased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's pretty clearly
Yeah, that's fine.
meant.
I mean,
Anyone,
yeah.
anyone who's
Yeah,
in the sort of
yeah.
circumstance where they're traveling under an assumed name, right?
well, either he's a patron looking for some dirty work, or he's a slaver, and if we go, we're going to get caught up.
Jasper,
I am.
could he be part of the Silver Hand?
I didn't see any telltale signs, but, you know, people don't generally go around with it stamped on their forehead, do they?
I asked if I should be afraid of him.
Us too. Oh, right. Yeah, all right.
Oh, yes, that.
Said no. But, or at least I got a sense of no, I shouldn't. But I think he might know more about us than he said.
Alexandria, you trust.
You trust that thing that we can't talk about here.
Absolutely.
Well, at least there's something interesting to do. What time of day is it right now?
Right around noon. Actually, noon.
Should we
I'm just going to say
go-
it's right around lunch. How about we use that
Yeah,
phrase? So,
yeah.
you know.
Well, since we're settled here, should we go and see if there are any charters out to Dusseldorf in the next week, and then we can go meet your handsome friend of an evening.
Let's do it.
if it comes down to it, go for the left hip. He's got a bit of a limp. Hides it well.
Really? Just a question, Jasper. How am I on a scale of 1 to 10 in hiding it well?
Out of character, Drew, tell me, how good is Lucas at hiding it?
He wants to be a 10.
I think somewhere around a 5.5 based on roleplay.
There's been a few natural ones, hasn't there?
Look, he's a solid 7 in the right lighting.
He just hasn't had the right lighting all game. That's all. Yeah.
Honestly, Lucas, I tend to forget, but when it acts up, you know.
Yeah.
It's mostly the noise that I notice is different.
What, do I need an oil change?
No, it's the foot's heavier than the other. You got one foot what sounds like this fella, and the other is a little dancer's toe like the princess here.
I just got a mental image of having one leg that's Alexandre's and one leg that's Chevalier's.
Now you understand how awkward you sound, yes.
And now everything makes sense. I need to watch this fellow, get some tips. I'm just having a drink.
The thing is,
Maybe
though,
if you
Lucas,
had less to
it's-
drink, it would help.
for you, it's not so
Sometimes
much a weakness, though.
Make
you
you
know,
limber up.
from my perspective, anyway.
It's from a weakness.
No, it's not a weakness in the way his is. And what am I going to do? Grab a crowbar and pry it off you in the middle of combat? You know how to move, and that's all that matters.
No. Certainly can feel like a weakness at times. But that's my burden.
All right. So, what's just out of curiosity here? Let's see. Oops, not that. Come on back. Come back here. You. There we are. So, are you guys going to head down to the docks and do some sniffing around and find out if there's anything heading the way you want to head?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
All right. So I'm just going to go around, ask everyone to name a skill and throw a dice, and we'll figure some things out here. So let's start out with Alexandre. What skill are you going to use to assist in trying to hitch a ride to the free city?
Persuasion.
All right. So in what context? Just
She's gonna try to use feminine wiles.
Oh dear. Okay. Hey, I'm
I
charming.
almost feel like that should. Yeah.
Hey, I'm charming. Got a ship for me?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. All right.
This is where I'm trying to go. Do you know how to get there?
Oh, I do declare.
I'm this poor defenseless lady trying to get to a dangerous frontier town. Can you take me?
Wink, wink. All right. I'll buy that for $1. Let's see a die roll. Oh, that sounded like an open end.
$35. I nat 20'd on that.
Oof. Boom. Okay. So that's a good start for sure. Lucas, how do you propose to follow? So at one point, literally, there's going to be a scene of Chevalier leaning against a lamppost in this pose, and then the camera's going to pan back, and there's Alexandria surrounded by about 15 different all handsome or attractive captains, all of them chatting and explaining why their ship is better. Okay. Lucas.
All right. She needs a bodyguard.
She needs a bodyguard.
She's got one.
Yeah.
But she needs a human bodyguard.
She needs a human bodyguard. Oh, really? And how do you figure that's
Robot erasure, and I won't stand for it.
How does Lucas being a bodyguard improve the odds of Alexandria finding a ship?
So it comes down to
sing me a fine story here.
I'm gonna try. I don't want to cock block her. So that's do you know what I'm gonna do?
No, that's what I'm waiting for you to explain.
Thank you. So I'm going to walk around. I'm not going to be a bodyguard.
Okay. Change of tactic.
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm changing tactic. I'm talking this through.
All right.
Seeing her do that, I've never seen Alexandria be sexy, and I'm like a little bit intimidated.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna stay in the shadows, but I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna try and hear what they're all talking at, like what they're all saying. Like who out of all of them is weaving a truthful story rather than what she wants to hear.
Sure. What skill do you think applies with that?
I think it comes down to my profession.
All right.
It's a feat that I've got as being a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot about the structure of the military and how all that works. So I guess I'm drawing upon that as much as possible, combined with probably, I would say, logic, even though I don't have any points in logic. But yeah, that's.
It also sounds like it might be perception, the way you were saying, like listening in to them.
I was just going to say, I think perception in this case is a stronger candidate than logic. You're trying to.
Okay.
Now, do you actually have points in perception? All right. So
Nope.
I was just going to say, so you're just going to roll a bear D20. I'm going to say that your familiarity with military logistics, because keep in mind, Cliff Spider started out as a military town. It's grown since then, but initially it was a military outpost. So you've heard lots about it. You're aware of the aggravation that was involved in the initial supply chain and things like that. So with your military background, I'm going to say you probably are going to get an actual bonus of +1. Okay. So you're not completely bare, but it's a D20 +1 is what you're going to get. Let's see what you come up with.
Wish me luck.
Yeah.
19.
That's a very solid roll, in fact. So you've basically what you're able to tell with that roll is that about half of these captains probably don't even own boats, but they are all very interested in Alexandria. Of the half that actually do have something to do with ships, almost half of them have never been to the Free City. So you're able to whittle out the ones who are essentially just being, or at least from your position, just watching over. You're able to mentally whittle out the ones that are actually going to be worth talking to in the long term. All right?
Great. Awesome.
Let's switch up now to Spider. How's Spider going to contribute to this process of trying to find a ship to the Free City?
Well, I think Spider is disguised in amongst this group of suitors.
Okay.
And is is
Say, I love that they're now suitors, no longer captains.
yeah.
Entirely.
Well, only
Half
half
of them don't
are
have
captains
ships.
anyway.
They're not captains.
But this is the thing, like from within the group, like it's like the people pay attention to her, and then she'll say something witty, and everyone laughs. But then like the people at the back of the group, and Spider's going to do the thing where he sort of like from within the group starts spreading rumors of being like, a girl like that's only into someone with a big boat, if you know what I'm talking about. And
Someone with a big mast.
yeah, and you know, I hear they're only up for people who can really sail the open waters, not just along the coast, etc., etc. And like, I'm trying to like weed out someone who might have, you know, like who has that kind of plan just by like the back chat that happens in, you know, like when there's 15 people gathered around one person, you can't all talk to them at once.
Yeah,
so you end
exactly.
up like awkwardly talking to the other dudes.
Yeah, it sounds fine. And keep in mind, like I said, there's about 40% of this crowd is women. So Alexander is attracting a lot of attention on both sides of the line, as it were. So yeah. All right. So let's see. Let's get a die roll and see what you can come up with.
All right, I roll deception to spread rumors. Okay. Cool. I rolled a 9.
A 9. Okay. At some point in time, one of the female suitors is going to lean over to Spider and say, "Look, she's just not your type, and those comments don't belong here. Go for a walk."
Let's go with her.
I may have failed, but I may also have found the right person.
Yes, I feel like that is a failure with a twist.
How we fail forward?
That is.
Yeah, exactly.
So Chevalier, how is Chevalier
yeah,
fitting into this pandemonium enveloping just to the west of the warehouse district?
I think he's somewhat bemused by most of it, particularly as like the brothers start trying to get involved. And
Yes.
It's just like, all right. I think he's just like, he's just nearby and he's looking over like the shift, like at various like manifests and stuff, and just like lining up ship names to various things and trying to just put those connections together.
I kind of imagine him putting a pair of glasses on, just taking notes. And just-
I'm just going to say Winston suddenly.
So with on learning,
That's a good
25.
choice. A 5.
25.
25. Oh my, that's a big
Yes.
difference. Yes. All
Little
right.
bit, yes.
Yes. Noticeably different, he said. All right. So those are actually some really good rolls, with one exception, of course.
There's a group of accountants around me.
Just going to say, well, see, the thing is that it's so things, particularly where Chevalier rolled learning. It seems like you guys, you folks, have literally arrived at pretty much one of the busiest shipping periods of the year. The spring flood seems to be, and that seems to be what's going on, by the way. You keep hearing everyone talking about the Great Flood, and apparently this is, normally the water level is down basically where the line of the wooden docks is on the map. So literally the stone docks are unserviceable. They're high and dry. You can't get ships to them most of the year. So right now, the dock, the port is packed with every cargo ship that could possibly get itself wedged in here with a load of goods. Because there's a bunch of caravans that are on their way here over the next couple of weeks because the flood's just beginning. And so the caravan district is going to go berserk soon. and what they call the caravan port, the Grand Bazaar, is going to light up for the better part of the next 3 weeks. And they're going to ship as much cargo and goods through the docks and the caravan port in the next month as they would normally do for almost the rest of the year combined. That's how busy things are right now. So the effect is that there are all kinds of ships going all kinds of places. The problem is they're all freighters. But based on the conversations that Alexandria is having and the weeding work that Lucas is able to do, you're able to pin down a couple of ships which would actually be heading to Dusseldorf, the Free City, in about 2 weeks. And those ships actually are going to have passenger capacity. There are other ships leaving sooner. You just literally have to sleep on the upper decks or in a lifeboat because they don't have passenger care. They're packing those ships full of crates and bales, and then they're sailing. So the first passenger opportunities are about 2 weeks from now. But both of the ships are highly reputable, fairly fast, and reputable, fast, and they're a mixed hauler, so they move a certain number of passengers and a substantial amount of cargo. What that means is you also wouldn't be the only people getting off the ship at the other end. See, the thing catch about even if you could get onto a freighter is you'd be the only passengers getting off of a freighter at the other end, which kind of Spider would be able to tell you is exactly the sort of thing that everyone stares at. But if you're one of a dozen other passengers disembarking, no, okay, you're just passengers, who cares? Right?
There are also ones who are outside of the Confederacy that may matter less.
Well,
question mark.
Well, yeah,
much
I mean, this is the
more.
problem. I was just gonna say, yeah, that you guys don't know anything about where you're going. You vaguely, I mean, you had rumor about Glitter Delta Cove. You knew roughly what to expect. It's in the Confederacy. You understand the laws, the customs, the behavior you can expect. You have no clue about the Free City. You have no idea what's socially acceptable. You have no idea what the cultural reference marks are going to be. You don't even know if they actually particularly like folk from the Confederacy, or if they just tolerate them because it just happens to be the port that the Confederacy's paying to use to keep Cliff Spider supplied. Right? So, yeah. Any questions about what you are able to learn over the course of the afternoon?
I mean, I have to take a walk. I'm out. I've been told I ain't gonna argue with Miss Captain.
Just walk off, because I try to catch her eye, being like, "That what?"
No, I'm just going to say, and just for amusement, she's one of the two captain. Her ship is one of the two that fits the bill.
Well, not this bill, but
No, the other bill.
Hey.
Bill 22.
And who's the other one?
So
So
there's a real shame about that other captain. Well,
who's the other captain?
Interesting.
an ugly squat toad of a man.
Actually, no. Amusingly enough, his crew is almost entirely halflings.
all right, game on.
Essentially, it's a halfling clan. Their village, if you will, is the ship. There's a dozen of them or so. I'd have to double check the exact numbers for the size of ship I'm thinking of. But essentially, it's a family-run operation.
Oh, damn it. Now you've given us two cool choices.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, all right, that sounds pretty good as well, I guess.
Alexandria wants to go with the hot captain. I saw that face.
Oh no, I've been found
Hang
out.
on. He said they were halflings. He never said they weren't hot.
That's true.
Don't be racist. All right.
Halfling clan or no nonsense.
I think it comes down to. I think it's very clear. It's Alexandria's choice.
Yeah.
It is Alexandria's choice. Let's
Yes.
be honest now.
So, yeah. Any questions about anything you guys have found out for the afternoon?
Yes.
What's that?
Alexandria, Where did those moves come from?
I grew up in court. What do you
True.
expect?
Actually, I have seen my sister pull a few of those.
Some of them came from your sister.
I figured that was going to be said.
It's not someone anyone wants to hear.
All right.
Well,
Like the answer, don't ask the
that's
question.
an excellent plan in place. Some of those came from your sister. I think is an excellent place to wrap it for this week.
Yeah.
So,
Lucas is very, very confronted with that information.
so next week, folks, we will open up. Give some thought in advance if you are going to want to meet up with Aquidian, my apologies, at the Lake of Ancestors, and if there's any legwork you're going to want to do, and we'll lunge in straight into that as the opening scene. Otherwise, if you're going to not do that, we'll figure out what it is you do want to do. You've got about 2 weeks, apparently, before you're going to be able to sail, so you've got some time to hang around. Alternately, if it turns out there's nothing in particular, you guys basically can just hang out in the inn and wait, and we'll just fast forward to the next bit. So it's up to you guys what
We just
happens.
sit twiddling our thumbs.
I think we're definitely going to that meeting. It sounded
Yeah.
like everyone was keen.
Yeah, but like I say, it's just I don't want you guys to feel like you're wedged into a corner and just a storyline walked
Oh.
up and slapped you, but it is ultimately ignorable.
Michelle, I'm a collector of side quests.
Yeah.
He actually is. It's a problem.
Some players have a dice addiction.
What?
Someone's feeling called out suddenly. All right.
Ouch.
All right then, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. If you're catching this later on the Vaughn, thank you as well for keeping up with the story. Do let us know what you think in comments and suggestions and all that other good stuff. And then it is that most bitter and unfortunate part of the day where we wrap up and say goodnight. Good night, goodbye. But yeah, just till next week. So let's start out with Jamie.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm
is it
Jamie
not you?
Collette. You can find me at Muffin Manifesto on Twitter or on my website, jamie-collette.com. I'm a professional voice actor. I'm also here in the middle of the week. What just happened?
I was just going to say, you had a pronunciation issue with the name of a
what did
major
I say?
social service. We'll discuss it later. Just keep
Reacted
going.
the same way.
I think we all heard it the same way.
I want to know. Look, I've been up for more than 24 hours. So that's okay. Whew, boy.
Let's not try and go all too Freudian here. All right, so yeah.
I don't know what I said. Oh no.
You said titter.
Okay. It could be worse.
It couldn't be worse. So yeah.
Yes, or you can find me here on the Wednesdays, the middle of the week, where I am on Eternium Gate with Chantel, who I don't know is that direction from me right now, but they are on my Zoom. And also, I will be directing Julius Caesar for Stream Shakespeare on July 5.
Awesome.
Yeah, which I'm very excited about.
Okay. Drew, your turn.
Good night, everyone. I am Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewWilson. Yeah, I will be here next week. And check out my Twitter. Have a fun week, everyone. Enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
I certainly enjoyed myself tonight.
Chantel?
Unmuting. This has been fun. You can find me at Chantel B on Twitter. I have 2 more games in the next 12 hours. So find me at Scraticus in 4 hours for a charity stream run by B Dave Walters, who's amazing. And then find me back here at 9 p.m. Mountain, 11 p.m. Eastern for Far From Home, which is our sci-fi Savage Worlds game that's just started and is pretty amazing. You can find me at wordswithcolor.com. You can also find Drew writing, because that's a thing that he's been doing that needs to be called out. I'm calling you out, Drew. You've been writing, so yeah.
I have been writing. I've been trying, doing my little dappling. So
Yes.
We've been doing, Chantel and I have been writing little, diary entries /
character vignettes.
I tend to write
narrative.
Yeah, I tend to write little narrative chunks, and you've started writing narrative chunks, and I think that's great.
Yes.
So yeah. What's the WordPress account for that?
Mine is talesfromthetavern.wordpress.com.
From the Tavern.
All right.
Which I found out the other day while Googling that Tales from the Tavern is an old podcast or something that someone once did for D&D. So, but they don't use it anymore. It ended.
Great.
So I've taken the name. And
It's yours now.
Yeah. Okay. Sam.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Sam. I do voice acting and performing. Find me on Twitter at @the_RealSamEP. Most recent thing you can hear me do was a town called Prodigal on the Penny Peep Show, or I'm also on The Curious Case of the Paddington Prowler on this channel on Mondays.
All right.
And I don't know what time because it's kind of shifted a couple of times. So I don't know what time it's on now.
Random time shift. All right. All right, folks, and I'm, of course, Michel Vaillancourt. You can find me at 902PE Gaming, where I talk about streaming, doing, and setting up for games just like this one. You can also catch me on Twitter at MichelV69. Thank you very much for joining us on this interesting journey. I'm absolutely privileged to be able to ref you for. So this is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing how the story develops next week. And thank you for joining us on Do Respite Production. This is the project and brainchild of Eric. And his vision is to invest in stories. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining us to do that. We will see you in a week. Keep up with us in the meantime on social media. We would love to continue to hear from you. And that's it. Take care of yourselves. Have fun with whatever it is you're doing. And bye-bye.